Hey guys, and welcome back to another video of ECK Sports, and today I'm going to be ranking every single player in MLW for 2025. I'm going to be ranking 48 players in today's video, but before I get into that, I would like to thank the person who really made this video possible, and that is of course Sean Huff. Now, Sean runs this great spreadsheet or site, whatever you want to call it, called MLW References. He has stats all the way from 2010 to this most recent year, 2024. All of his spreadsheets linked down below in the description. You should definitely take a look. And without further ado, let's get into ranking these players. Coming in last on this list at number 48 is going to be Brendan Davenport. Now, similar to last year, Davenport was given an opportunity to pitch in an out-of-state series, and it went just about the same as it did last year. There just really isn't a spot for Davenport on this team. I would not be shocked if he's played his last game in MLW ever. And then at number 47 is going to be Aiden Richard. Was the 5th player for the Gators this year. Didn't get too much playing time, and I don't really expect him to get much playing time next year either, considering that the Gators do have that 2nd overall pick. Looked pretty lost to the plate when he played, so wouldn't expect him to play much next year. Coming in at number 46 is somebody who did get some opportunities this year, and that is going to be Chris Baranowski. Now, Chris did look pretty solid against the Cobras in that game 2, but after that blew it in game 3 of that series, and of course against the Wildcats. Based on what he said at the end of the ALCS, it does not look like he's going to come back next year. Coming in at number 45 is going to be Carter Richard. You could see Carter get some ABs and some real reps. He has had some success in other leagues like Bay City before. He could be a solid guy at the plate, could draw some walks. Coming in at number 44 is going to be Carson Urgaitis. Last year, Carson was the last ranked player. This year, he's ranked as the 5th worst player. So pretty good improvement there from Carson. But overall, he did not look too bad, and even better than some guys ahead of him. But I think he's a guy that you can kind of just expect to play around 5 or 6 games at most every year. Coming in at number 43 is somebody that I actually had high hopes for last year, and that is Matt Carlington. As you can see, I put him at number 29. You could just see by the end of the season, Tommy just really didn't trust him in the lineup, and I thought he had some good raw potential with that swing, but it just didn't pan out for him whatsoever. He had a negative OPS plus, a negative WRC plus. I still think he has some talent in there, but just did not show it last year. And coming in at number 42 is going to be AJ Ackerman. It was just a really bad year for AJ. He does have some of that raw power like I talk about with Carlington, but it's just not consistent enough, and his walk to strikeout numbers and his average and all that stuff is just not that good, especially when he did get some good playing time this year. Coming in at number 41 is going to be AJ's teammate, Jordan Curdy. Now, Curdy had a pretty solid year in 2022, but ever since then just has not looked good whatsoever. And after the 2nd series, he actually had a batting average above 300, but then kind of fell off. It'll be interesting to see how much Curdy plays next year, because you do have the 3rd overall pick. If Grant retires, he could play a lot next year, and he did play a good amount this year, so Curdy will find himself at number 41. Coming in at number 40, just bought his jersey, is going to be Stephen McGlade. Now, Stephen actually looked a lot better this year than he did last year. His ERA last year was in the 5s. This year dropped it in the mid 3s, but overall, he is just not somebody that you can rely on to be a consistent number 2 arm. He did end up becoming the number 2 arm over time, retaking that back based on his production and what he will likely get for playing time next year, which I project to be about maybe 8 innings. He'll find himself at number 40. Coming in at number 39 is going to be Casey Bennett. Now, Casey looked pretty solid at the plate last year, at least in the first half, but from the second half of last year all the way through this year, it seemed like that first half might have been a fluke. You add that with the fact that he's probably not going to play much next year based on what Knorp said. I do love his pitching, and I would love to see him as a 2nd pitcher, but he's stuck behind Jimmy and Trey. I think he's much more talented than number 39, but that is where he will find himself on this list. At number 38 is going to be Jack Agner. Now, I could see Agner ranking higher next year just because he loves to hit like okay with a bunch of home runs in odd number seasons and then just suck in even number years. If that's the trend he's on, maybe he finds himself in the low 30s next year like he did last year. When you're a manager and you're benching yourself and you've just never been a very consistent player, you can't be much higher than 38 on this list. Coming in at number 37 is going to be Liam Jackson. I did not expect Liam to play like at all this year, and he was able to get some playing time in just because Pat did not work out at the plate. Saylor got hurt, which opened the spot for him. But now that you have the number 1 overall pick coming up, he's just stuck behind a lot of guys, and I just don't know where he fits, but I feel like his talent has always been there. Coming up at at number 36 is going to be Rudy Ramirez. And while it seems like Rudy is improving year to year, I just don't really see it. I mean, he still had an OPS in the mid 600s, giving him a 56 OPS plus. His BABIP, batting average on balls in play, was 1,000, with a strikeout percentage of 70% and a walk percentage of 16%. That means he was a pretty lucky player. And this is just where he's going to be, I think. Coming in at number 35 is going to be Sean Flynn. Now, last year, I put him at number 15 just because his numbers were so great, but I did kind of have a feeling that he would fall off, and yeah, that he did. 115 average, 154 slugging, a 378 on base. His K to walk numbers are great, but didn't hit any home runs. He's effectively the sixth hitter now in the lineup. Maybe he gets 5-6 games next year. I don't know. We'll see. Coming in at number 34, a very similar situation to Sean Flynn, and that is going to be Zach Whalen. Now, in 2022, Whalen was incredible. He had an OPS over 1,000, hit for an average at like 325, was able to walk a lot, get on base, not strike out. After a down year in 2023 and followed up by a really bad year this year, it is just clear that Zach will never get back to that production that he once had. And especially when he's not walking a lot, that's when you know he's in a rough spot. Only had one hit all playoffs. Coming in at number 33, another big drop from last year is going to be Trevor Bonham. Trevor was probably a top 10 player last year. I projected him to regress a lot, so I put him at number 20. In ERA, FIP, BAA, and OPS against, he was the worst pitcher in the league at all those. And at the plate, when you rely on walks for a lot of your production, it just does not translate. Now, he continues to walk a lot. He always will, but you just see in the other stats, hitting for a 600 OPS with a 59 WRC plus. Not much power, not much average, but sometimes he is just a very scrappy player, and we saw that in 2023. So maybe he has that in him. Coming in at number 32, also dropping 11 spots, very similar to Trevor Bonham, and that is going to be Brendan Baranowski. ERA in the 5s, a 3.17 FIP, an OPS against of 1,100, and when a guy like Barron is walking guys, that's when you know there's a problem, because last year, while he was pretty bad, one thing he did not do was walk guys. He actually made the All-Star game for his hitting. Looked pretty good in the first half and limited ABs, but in the second half just did not follow that up. And while I enjoyed the Barron hitting run, probably not here to stay. Coming in at number 31 is going to be Barron's teammate, Brendan Zerlag. Now, Zerlag in limited time looked phenomenal this year. I mean, you see some of these numbers, 333 average, 703 slugging, 500 on base, 1200 OPS, a 175 WRC plus. He didn't qualify for me, so I can't really put him higher than number 31, but I think that change of scenery really did help him out, and that was kind of a theme for a lot of guys this year. We'll see that with his teammate Caden Irwin later on in this video, and I think it's very likely that he continues this. Coming in at number 30, it's going to be Tommy Coughlin. Now, to be quite honest, Tommy was probably the worst statistical player in MLW this year for guys that actually played, as he ranked 34th among hitters, which was last. Can't ignore his past. I mean, the 2 years before that, he was elite. If he plays like this again next year, yeah, he's going right down to the bottom of the list. I think he does deserve to be above a lot of these guys that I've listed before, just because none of these guys before him have actually consistently put up good numbers in a recent season. Coming in at number 29, dropping 15 spots, is going to be Brennan Russell. Now, Russell, of course, one of my favorite players as a Preds fan, did not look great at all, especially in the field. Russell was one of the worst fielders in the league this year, and hitting-wise, just did not have the production that we saw from him in 2022 and 2023. He just struck out too much, didn't have the power that we've known him to have, and of course, a 156 average is just not going to cut it. Coming in at number 28 is going to be Chris Cheatham. I think it's clear that Cheatham will never return to the elite player that we saw from him in 2020, 2021, and 2022, but I think he can really be a 700, 800 OPS guy at best, and that is a valuable fourth hitter. Did place 20th this year among hitters, which was a lot better than last year where he placed last among hitters. We'll see what the Gators plan to do, as of course they have that second overall pick, and you have 3 guys above him that all hit great last year, so we'll see how much Cheatham decides to play himself, but if he does, I think he will have some solid production. Oh, and also I can't forget to note, yeah, he's the best shortstop in the league. You're welcome, Dark. Coming in at number 27, also dropping 11 spots this year, is going to be Jacob Pishka. Now, I had very high hopes for Pishka. I was all aboard the Pishka train. He looked great in Slate 1. He was hitting home runs, hit the ball really hard, made that great defensive play. All these plus stats in the mid-70s, 80s. You even got some in the 50s. I still think he can be a very successful hitter in MLW. I would not be surprised if he put up a 900 OPS next year. Part of what does put him a little up for me is the fact that he was a pretty good defender. Coming in at number 26 is going to be Jackson Pearson. It's just kind of crazy that he's down this low. I mean, last year I was considering putting him in my top 10. He just fell outside of that at number 11. One of the reasons why he ranked that high last year was because of his pitching. And this year, it just did not look good for him. He had an ERA of 5.4, a FIP of 4.77. His K to walk numbers weren't terrible, but still not good enough. Ranked 15th among pitchers out of 18 that qualified to be on those rankings. But it is likely that he will get a lot of pitching reps, especially if their first pick is more hitting oriented. His hitting has been very up and down throughout his career. 2022, he put up some very good numbers, had an OPS in the high 900s. But since then, just other than his K to walk numbers, which have looked great since his rookie year, just not much there. I mean, you got an OPS plus at 61, WRC plus at 68. Probably the worst part of it all was his fielding. His fielding stats were pretty much the worst in the league. Jackson's always been a guy who's seen as having very high potential. So who knows? Maybe he'll prove me wrong next year, but right now, he's number 26. Coming in at number 25 is going to be Andy Durand. Andy had a fantastic comeback after a pretty bad season in 2022, took a year off, and came back pretty strong in 2024. Now, I will say, I think he was a little bit overrated this year. He really dropped off in the second half of the season, along with many of his Cobra teammates. And also, while he did make some solid plays, he was not a very good defender out there in left field. I would not be shocked if he is a lot further down this list next year. Coming in at number 24 is going to be the best defender in MLW, should have won the Gold Glove, Jonah Heath. Now, Cheatham did beat him in some stats, but he did not have nearly the same amount of attempts as Heath did. And Heath has just consistently been solid out there in right field, which does bump him up a lot of spots. His hitting wasn't too bad either. He's always going to be a great on-base guy. He walks a lot, placed 19th this year among hitters. He's never going to be much of a power guy, not going to be a flashy hitter whatsoever, but he'll be there to get hits, to get walks. Coming in at number 23 is going to be Brendan Jorgensen. Now, I was very high on Jorgensen last year. I did not think that last year was a fluke, but it turned out that it was. As last year, all of his stats were pretty much above average except for walk percentage. This year, only one stat was above average, which was his K percentage. That power that we saw from last year just didn't really translate. Based on his just overall career, 2023 is not a very good depiction of Jorgensen as a player, in my opinion. But what did bump Jorgie up a little bit for me was that he is a pretty solid fielder. Coming in at number 22, this one could blow up in my face, but I'm going to have Justin Esch. Now, this could be a very bold take just because I put him above like 6 guys who have had very successful seasons in their careers before. I really liked what I saw from him. I could just tell he has that raw power. He has a great swing. You could obviously see that his baseball skills did translate. His K to walk numbers were only slightly above average. He had a 112 batting plus. His power was pretty solid. I could see him playing all 15 games next year if he is able to show up to some of the series. Coming in at number 21 is going to be Jason Chadwick. I thought Chadwick was done. I thought he was washed. I thought maybe he was a 700 OPS guy at best, but this year he proved me wrong. He hit for 311 average, ranked 14th this year among hitters, had a 915 OPS with a 114 OPS plus. While he just didn't walk at all, didn't hit for much power, he just consistently put balls in play. I think he did secure himself a spot in the Gators lineup, even with that second overall pick. I think having a guy like Chadwick is perfect, especially when you got a guy like Jeremy and even Sawyer who have a lot of power in their bats. At number 20, might be a little bit of a surprise, but I have Nick Saylor. Now, Saylor missed pretty much all of last year due to his injury, but he was at UIFs and the Texas tournament, so it looks like he's all back and ready to go for next year. He looked great in the D-back series, looked pretty bad in the Pred series. I don't think he's ever going to go back to the player he was in his first 3 years, just like Cheatham. Now, Saylor has been dogged on in the league for a while about that throw and his very bad defensive season in 2021, but now that he switched to right field, he has been very good. And you saw when they didn't have him in the outfield, the Cats really missed him. Coming in at number 19 is going to be Drew Davis. Now, Drew actually did come up a few spots, even though he pretty much just had the exact same production. I mean, at this point, you pretty much know what you're going to get out of Drew. He's going to have an OPS in the mid to high 800s. He's going to have an average in the low to mid 200s. That's what he's done for the last 3 years. He'll probably continue to do that. And you know what? That makes it really easy for me to rank him. This year, he ranked 16th 17th among hitters, had a 101 OPS plus. He hit for a lot of power. His K to walk numbers were not very good. Didn't get on base as much as you would have liked him to. Coming in at number 18 is going to be a guy that I've been pretty high on for a long time, and that is going to be Ty Frenzenick. Ty actually hit pretty solid this year. I mean, he was above average on many of these stats. His K to walk numbers were really good. He hit for average. He got on base. And while the power wasn't quite there, I definitely don't think that will last. He's definitely a very good hitter. Coming in at number 17, pretty disappointing for some, is going to be Trey Flood. Now, Trey was just a pretty average pitcher this year. Ranked 11th this year among pitchers. Had a 2.09 ERA, 2.6 FIP. His K to walk numbers left a lot to be desired, especially for a guy that last year did not walk many batters, walked a lot of guys this year. He kind of just replicated what he did last year. Very good in the first half, fell off in the second, and what does give me some more hope for him is actually his hitting. He's looked pretty good in limited action in each of the last 2 years. He has a very good short and concise swing, which plays very well in MLW. Coming up at number 16, jumping up 15 spots from last year, is going to be Preston Holm. Now, Preston finally did it, had a great season, hit near 360 with a 462 slugging, a 951 OPS to give him 123 OPS plus. He ranked 10th this year among hitters, had a 126 batting plus. The power was not great. I think this is a very similar situation to Lanier-Gaitis, where in his first year, he was a very contact-oriented hitter, and toward the end of last year and into this year, he's been hitting a lot of home runs, as we've seen. Coming in at number 15 is going to be Levi Fleer. I can see everybody saying, oh, but you dropped down Ackerman because he just came on in the World Series, and now look at him this year. I think Levi's a very different situation, where we didn't just see him produce in the World Series. He's also hit very well in other events. He hit very well at the MLW U17 Invitational. One thing he could improve on, of course, is his plate discipline. That is something that is just always going to be an issue with Levi, but you'll gladly take that if he's hitting for average, hitting bombs, and not striking out. Coming in at number 14 is going to be Alec Warda. Now, I know what you guys are saying. He sucked in the World Series. Played terrible defense. Couldn't hit. That's all not true. You look at these numbers here. Other than his average, he was above average in literally every single statistic. Literally each of the last 4 years, going back to 2021, he has hit for 900 OPS every year. Yeah, he had that drop of the World Series. It was one play. He was a very good defender in right field for the Preds this year. And when you're putting up an OPS plus of 115, a WRC plus of 125, you are still a very good player. It is possible that he will play like he did in the World Series, but I think that's just an extreme level of recency bias, just considering what we've seen from him over the last 4 years. Coming in at number 13, this could be a very big surprise to some, but it is going to be Patrick Ballman. You see the ERA. He had a 67 ERA plus, 3.13 ERA. BAA, OPS against weren't great either. I think a lot of this was just because of how bad the Cats fielding truly was. And like I said earlier, if you have Saylor in right, if you have Kyle in left, I think these numbers look a lot better. And I think something that really backs this up is that he had a 1.83 FIP and a 116 FIP plus. If you guys don't know what that is fielding independent pitching, which clearly shows that fielding hurt his value a lot. And these K to walk numbers are elite. He was first in walk rate and K to walk rate. You add that with his pretty good arsenal, and I think that makes him a pretty good pitcher. Now, jumping up 20 spots, the biggest jump in today's video is going to be Caden Irwin. Caden was phenomenal this year. He had a 1.7 ERA, a 2.06 FIP. His K to walk numbers were fantastic. He had a 1.32 pitching plus, ranked 4th this year among pitchers. And of course, we know that top 3 is in a league of their own. When you go back in years past where he could not throw a strike to save his life, the fact that he was able to have a walk percentage plus of 151, that means he was 51% better than the league average pitcher in terms of not walking guys. What also hurt him is that his arsenal was just not very developed. He was drop ball, drop ball, drop ball. Now he's got a slider in there. He's got the knuckleball. I think that is a great 3-pitch mix for him. So we went from the Cats ace to the Cobras ace and now to the Magic ace with RJ Walgate here at number 11. Yeah, it was a down year for RJ, but even in a down year, just like Patrick, he was very accurate. He had good K to walk numbers. He had a pitching plus of 114, ranked 5th this year among pitchers. I think he's going to be just fine. You have to realize this is a year after he won the Cy Young, and if this is your quote-unquote sophomore slump, which I think we all kind of saw coming, coming. I think this proves that he is going to be a very successful pitcher in this league, and don't be surprised if he wins another Cy Young next year. Just missing out in the top 10 though, so tough for him. But coming in at number 10 is going to be Jeremy Adams. Jeremy going to be the highest ranked rookie in this video, and well, he wasn't elite either way. I mean, he ranked 9th this year among hitters, 8th this year among pitchers. I want to focus on his hitting first. When you consider that it was his rookie year and just what he's shown that he can do in the past in other tournaments and stuff, which is very high competition, I think these numbers are going to look a lot better next year. What really gets me excited for Jeremy next year is his pitching. He had a 2.09 ERA with a 2.26 FIP. He had a BAA of 180, an OPS against of 748. His K to walk numbers were pretty good, which I think is very important, especially for rookies. And he had a pitching plus of 112, so he was just a pretty good player on both sides. I think he could be a dark horse MVP candidate next year. But another guy that will certainly be competing with Jeremy for that award will be his teammate Sawyer Bean. Like I said, with Zerlag, and of course with Caden, and now with Bean, change of scenery is everything. We saw that with his hitting. I mean, he's always going to chase at a lot of pitches, never going to walk a lot. He had a lot of power this year. He hit for average well. I'm a little questioned on whether that's sustainable, but he ranked 7th this year among hitters, had a OPS plus of 146, WRC plus of 133, batting plus of 140, especially for what he actually is, which is, of course, a pitcher, where he pitched to a 1.78 ERA, a 121 pitching plus. He ranked 9th this year among pitchers. Honestly, I do think these pitching numbers will take a little bit of a hit, and I could see Jeremy taking over as the ace. Coming in at number 8, might not be the GOAT anymore. That's a very big discussion right now, but it is going to be Kyle Schultz. Kyle is dropping 2 spots, but he was much better this year than last year. Across the board, above average in pretty much every statistic, and this is just who he's going to be. He could pitch next year, I'm not sure, but I mean, when you're putting up an 1100 OPS, when you're walking a lot, not striking out, hitting for average, hitting for power, I mean, that's just going to get you here every time. 5th this year among hitters. Coming in at number 7 is going to be Landon Urgitis. Just across the board, incredible statistics. He ranked 6th this year among hitters. His K to walk numbers were fantastic. He had a 186 OPS plus, 199 WRC plus to give him a 193 batting plus. Just all incredible. He hits for contact. He hits for power. And I think next year is the year for him to win Silver Slugger. Coming in at number 6 is going to be Jimmy Knorp. Now, at the plate, he was a little bit better than he was last year, but not quite the player that he was before then. He did rank 8th this year among hitters, hit 234. He's messing with his hands in his batting stance, so we'll see how that translates into next year. We'll see what he does with that. Probably the more concerning part is his pitching. Now, his numbers look pretty good here. Ranked 7th this year among pitchers. He had a 1.5 ERA from last year and even 2022. Now, relying on Pishka and Heath and, of course, himself as defenders isn't a bad strategy whatsoever, and it's worked for him. But when you look at his fielding independent pitching, K numbers, his K to walk numbers, they just don't look great. Now, Jimmy is still a very accurate pitcher. He does not strike guys out. And I feel like the movement on his slider and his two-seam have declined a little bit from last year and even 2022. Coming in at number 25, rising up 20 spots from last year, is going to be Daniel Schultz. I mean, you look at a 209 OPS plus, a 233 WRC plus, a 221 batting plus, K to walk numbers, incredible. Power numbers, incredible. He hit for average. I mean, just everything was so great for Dan this year. I think he really showed that 2023 was a fluke. His fielding also bounced back a lot. He was a very bad fielder last year. This year was great out there in left field. I mean, he basically plays center field, but if we want to call it left field, we can. Coming in at number 4 is going to be Grant Miller. Now, he didn't win the Silver Slugger this year, but he is still the best hitter in MLW. I mean, sure, it wasn't quite as good as last year, but he ranked 1st this year among hitters. And when you really look at this, you can make the argument that he should have won Silver Slugger, but I mean, Dan and Ryan put together, historic seasons, so maybe not. But I mean, when you're putting up a 259 OPS plus, when you have K to walk numbers both in the 200s, you have a 253 home run percentage plus, you have a 236 batting plus, and still hitting 300. I mean, he just does everything so well. He's a great fielder. And now at number 3, this one might shock some people, but it is going to be Dallas Allen. Now, last year at the plate, he was very consistent, hit for power, pretty surprisingly, had an OPS of 855, ranked 13th this year among hitters, was pretty much just a slightly above average hitter, but his pitching is, of course, what gets him here. I mean, a 1.21 ERA, 1.53 FIP, a 184 BAA, 654 OPS plus, strikes out nearly 50% of hitters, doesn't walk very many, and of course, a 180 pitching plus, ranks 2nd among all pitchers from this last year. Number 2 is going to be Jordan Robles. I think now that we have seen that Robles is truly an elite player on the mound, I have have to put him here. I mean, these stats are unbelievable. Just a 1.78 ERA, a 0.6 FIP, a 104 BAA. He strikes out over 60% of hitters, only walks 18%. He has a pitching plus of 307. Just absolutely incredible. Should have been the lone Cy Young. But really, the reason why that he's above Dallas is because we both know now that Jordan and Dallas are great pitchers. In the past, we didn't really know that about Jordan. But now that we know that they're both great pitchers, I feel like Dallas has kind of maxed out as this kind of like low 900 OPS guy, hits a few home runs, maybe makes some contact, whatever. While he didn't really show it this year, we know that Jordan has the capabilities of being an elite hitter. Now again, this year it dropped off. It didn't look great this year. He did not have power whatsoever. Or he's still walking a lot, not striking out much. He did rank 11th this year among hitters, but from what I know that he can do hitting and what we've seen last year that he can do pitching, I have to put him here at number 2. But even a 0.6 ERA would not get him to number 1, as that is, of course, going to be Ryan Kracht. I mean, who's going to stop this guy? Another MVP season that's 3 in a row, 4th in his career. Ironically, the one weakness in his game last year, at least at the plate, was that he did not walk very much. Yeah, that changed. So now he's got everything down. We know about the 12 home runs he hit for a ton of power. He hits for average. He had a 225 OPS plus, a 179 WRC plus, a 202 batting plus. He ranked 3rd this year among hitters. On the mound, ERA in the low ones, FIP at 1.83, and then of course on the mound, always elite. One of the best guys in the league, if not the best there. Wasn't quite as good as Dallas and Jordan, but I mean, we know what he's capable of there, and he certainly showed it off this year with a 1.06 ERA. He had a 148 pitching plus. And again, a lot of the reason why he keeps winning these MVPs is because nobody else is able to put up elite numbers on both sides of the ball, and he just continues to do it. Robles would have won this award by a mile if he was able to hit the ball like he did in the past 2 years, but Kraft is just super consistent. When you have a 202 batting plus and a 148 pitching plus, you're going to be pretty high on this list, and there have been some conversations recently. Is Ryan Kraft the GOAT? Is Kyle Schultz no longer the GOAT? Let me know what you think down below in the comments, as well as all the other rankings. Let me know, did you agree with some of these rankings? Did you not? But of course, thank you for watching this very long video. And of course, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.